Alright, we're back with some professional StarCraft from WCS Montreal, the final WCS Circuit event of 2018. And we have two of the best players of their race, especially outside of Korea. But we're going to be doing something special for this series. I haven't watched the series yet, but one of my favorite things to do to learn and potentially for entertainment value is just watch. Not the observer, not looking around at everyone, or ignore that. That's not happening. But first person. I think looking through, now we can't see exactly where every single mouse click is going, but you can see the camera, the selections, the control groups of the players. And I'm going to be alternating between games in this best of 5, which, spoilers, it does go more than 3 games. But between Reynor and Uthermal, Reynor, the Italian Zerg player, just barnstorming in to WCS as soon as he hit the ripe age of 16, which was this year, in the middle of the year. Imagine if he was like 6 months older, then based on his success, maybe even a shoe-in for BlizzCon, but was only able to compete after he turned 16 because of WCS rules. And we're gonna now we're gonna be seeing production. We'll know supply. That's for us. That's to get an idea. But we're going to be watching the cameras of each of these players. So Reynor, he's getting 2 Rexed right now. We know that. He does not. He sent his Overlords out in a pattern. Well, he was looking for the Rex on the right side. You see the second Overlord pathing. But we will have to see. Reynor taking a third. He goes for the very quick third. Well, obviously not thinking there are 3 barracks outside his base. So what does he do as soon as that's going to show up in like 2 seconds. Now, importantly, he didn't make a 3rd Overlord either, which would be the one that helps to scout this. He went for the 3rd hatchery instead, and that means he's not going to have... Well, if he has to cancel the 3rd, he's going to be supply blocked, potentially, and he's not going to have this vision. Like, this is a knockout blow. Reynor does not know. Oh, he does not know. Now, he sees an SCV, and now he sees the Marines! This could be over very quickly. Cancels the 3rd, supply blocked, building the spines, but the Marines are already in the base. And the desperation begins. Drones falling already. He doesn't have many to spare. Speed was canceled to get more lings. That's how desperate he is right now. He canceled Zergling speed because this game could very well be over before it. And, well, it looks like it is. He doesn't have the drone. He doesn't have the drones anymore. Like, even with the spines, even if he does hold, he doesn't have the drones. The Marines will continue building. This was a Maru-esque way to open up the series. Uthermal going to target down the drones. And he's done it. And Reynor with a bit of the, oh my god. Kind of, I can't believe you did this, but I know it's a good build. Kind of GG. We all know how he felt. Well, that was a remarkably quick start to the series. So we all got to experience the first person of Reynor dying to a full Rex proxy. So... which were on the northern corner of the map, if you didn't notice earlier. Well, we'll take a look. The next map is Cerulean Fall. Wait, yes, Cerulean Fall. Is that how you say it? Cerulean? Yeah, that's the only way to say it. I have the best words. The canceling upgrades gives you everything back. If you cancel a unit, not a building, or an upgrade, it gives you everything back. Just FYI. Nope. Wrong button. There you go. But Uthermal up to a 1-game lead, and we'll be following him. In this match. Now, we'll see. If this was Maru, I think there's like an 80% chance he just 2 Rexes again, let it ride. Well, 4 Rex. That's a lot different. 4 Rex is 100% to kill him. Because if you don't kill him, you got nothing. You spent a huge chunk of your economy putting together those barracks. But it looks like he's opening up a little more standard now.
Additional.
This is 100% not supposed to be... Uthermal is not a cheesy player, I would say, overall. He definitely understands the value of throwing that in there. I think it's very important. Like, if you become known as a player who simply will not do a proxy Rex, you just don't have the dimensions. Like, if people can just go 3-hatch against you every game and just get away with it, you're not going to win as much. Like, so you really do have to, especially in a best of 5 or 7, it's important to at least think about throwing that in. And that's what StarCraft is all about. It's not about, like, this is the most standard perfect macro build. It's about mind games. It's much closer to poker than chess. In that, well, they might show some of their hand, but are they bluffing? How much are you willing to bet? In that last game, Reynor bet that he wasn't going for a proxy Rex with a quick 3rd hatch, and, well, he lost that hand. No SCV scout to start here. So just a Reaper. Now the question is, will Uthermal? Will he leave the Reaper at home in case of a pull first? Or will he be sending it across? Pull first is another one. It's kind of like Zerg's version of the 2 racks. Well, not quite the same way, but if you do go for a quick pull, you can get in if they don't scout early, for example, like we have right here. Get in, maybe even cancel a command center, or if you're doing like a Ravager push, do more than that. But he does commit the Reaper across the map. Looks like gets a drone kill. Nice moves, and he knows by the time, oh my god, going for 2. And gets out. There is no other place to jump the Reaper. You have to go in that front area. There's no Reaper cliff at the back. That's important. 2 command centers means he's confident that Reynor has no real potential. Based on the amount of drones he built and was sending down, it's very unlikely that he's going to do a Veiling Bust or something. So 3 CC is not particularly risky here. Now, that does mean he's not going to be able to build up his production as strongly for... well, as quickly. He can't put on as much pressure as quickly, so he's going to be looking to put as much map control. And map control, there's a difference between map vision and map control. Map vision is overlords or a Viking, stuff like that. Map control is when essentially the other player is taking a risk by being on the map at all. So that's what Hellions are good at. In the early game, if the Zerglings go out on the map and the Hellions find them, well, there's going to be a barbecue. And if you can do that with minimal units, then that's when the 3rd command center really shines. Because the 3rd CC is a big investment, but if you can't be punished for it, it definitely pays off. Now, is this going to be Banshees? A Raven? A Raven's another cheap way. No, but he doesn't have the gas. A Raven is another cheap way. He is going to go for a Banshee. Now, I'm not entirely sure whether... I don't think he's going to go for Cloak. Interestingly, Uthermal has taken the gas at the net and not in the main. I don't know if that's potentially to trick Reynor if he has an Overlord on that left side, or if he's just more comfortable taking the gas. I don't know, but the Banshee is starting. It feels like that's kind of a defensive Banshee, because if you're not going for Cloak, that looks very much like it could be a Raven or a Viking. He didn't have the gas. I think Reynor saw the 3rd CC. Now, remember, there's that little on that ramp, on those stairs, there's a little doodad that splits your units. You got to be very careful about that. I've gotten pinned on that before, trying to get my units back, and suddenly they go two different directions. Super annoying. I guess this Banshee is just maybe force some Spore Crawlers that don't really need to be built. You don't need to build Spores against an uncloaked Banshee, but you can't take the risk it has cloaked up, is the simple version. It's also there to potentially deny a 4th. Uthermal doing... This is what the very best Terrans do, and they do well. This is what sets Terran apart. Well, the top Terrans apart from the rest, essentially, is how they use these early game units. Just constantly finding creep tumors, denying bases, scouting, picking off Zerglings. They're not just sitting back. He has barely any units, but he's still being aggressive. But now we're getting in, well, comfortable taking the third. The barracks are coming up. The add-ons are switched around. He built some reactors on like the starport because he knew you're not going to get 2 medevacs for 4 Marines. You have to have some Marine production before you get medevacs, otherwise there's no point. The double upgrades are on the way. Reynor a little bit quicker. He was taking advantage of the scenario. Right now, 56 workers to 51, and that's very nice for a Terran player to have 50 SCVs by this time. The Lings are trying to run by, though. Reynor very well known for those moves. He comes in, not going to pick off a tank. These Marines are... Oh, more Lings coming in. The wall will be raised. The Hellions are back to defend. So Uthermal loses a handful of Marines, maybe a couple Hellions and SCVs, but overall, I think a solid defense. Even the Banshee came back. Maybe some select army usage there. Definitely caught off guard.
Research
but not a deadly attack. If he picks off a tank or really gets into the main or something, that's when it gets out of hand. The big thing that did there, though, was cut down the Marine count, making drops less potentially effective. While trading Lings is pretty cost ineffective against someone who already has Hellions back home, if you can keep the Marine count down as a Zerg, you have more time to spread your creep, get your bases up. They simply cannot push out, and they don't have enough units to pressure you. But Uthermal, undeterred, adding on 2 more racks. Armory's on the way. 4 medevacs now, 65 SCVs. Combat shield on the way. And this is Uthermal. This is a timing. These are when Terran wants to pressure. He's got 1-1 on the way. He's got combat shield. For a time, his units are going to be as strong as they will be over the next few minutes. So moving out onto the map with all his upgrades finishing, the medevac count healthy, a handful of siege tanks, and he's kept his Hellions alive with an armory about to finish. He can turn them into Hellbats if he's so inclined, and get in this position on the 4th base. A Marine on the right side will scout for a flank coming in. The tanks individually hotkeyed to be able to target down especially Banelings. The attack, unchallenged for now. Reynor coming in from the right. Baneling speed just now about to finish. He gets on top of the tanks, but the Marines in a great spot. Hellbat's going to protect. Both tanks are taken out, but Uthermal's still pressuring forward while macroing at home. Just watch the minerals. He's able to keep them down so well, even while splitting. As I say it. Good splits so far. Builds another round of Marines. The Marine count is definitely thinning out here. 2-2 has not been started yet, but he does have a hotkey for his engineering base. There you go. Going to continue on the drops. The attack will be deflected. But damage was done. He killed some queens. And we don't pause for anyone here. The attack on the right side, really trying to keep pressure on. Even though when your attack gets thrown back, you want to anchor Zerg units wherever you can. He really cannot allow at this timing Reynor to be aggressive. If Reynor can be aggressive, and I don't mean just throwing his army into siege tanks, but if he's able to contain Uthermal, he's going to have so many bases, so much creep spread, it's going to become harder and harder for Uthermal to ever get out on the map and counterattack. These drops are keeping enough units at home, and they're mobile enough that as long as he doesn't lose them to the Hydras, Reynor can't really pressure, and that'll set Uthermal up for a 2-2 timing. The 2-2 is now really what we're looking at. 2 tanks at a time. He's going to be close to 200 supply. That wants to hit before Hive Tech kicks in. Uthermal coming in, snipes off a few more tumors, finds the army, boosts right back out. The army on the right side, well, the drop on the right side, going to be looking for some creep as well. He's not really dropping mules, he just has the scans. But really trying to push back this creep and make the 2-2 timing as effective as possible. He's still about a minute out. He should be moving out relatively soon. The 4th base is on the way. He's not going to just try to all in here. A drop coming up. He does scan back to halfway across the map. Uthermal taking a 4th. Yeah, that army. Nope. That's a no. But immediately bounces right back to the left. He's walled off his own siege tank. Thank you for taking tips from me. Both these players at 400 plus actions per minute. Reynor at 450, Uthermal at 415. That is 6 to 7 actions a second. Wait. Yes. Or more. It's pretty good. But 2-2 is coming together. Uthermal at 200 supply. He pulls back the drops. They're no longer going to be that helpful. And instead is going to be going for the direct attack. In this, he really wants to put on pressure. Ideally, he wants to end the game. It has potential. And the huge counterattack. This is the moment of truth here. Reynor in the 3rd. He doesn't bring all of his units, but he brings all the Zerglings. He gets on top of the tank. Uthermal will split his forces. He's got to be careful not to split too thin or can be isolated and destroyed. The tanks on the high ground are in a good position. He cleared some of the creep. The spread on the Marines. Does he have too many back at home? The supply is nearing 200 for either side. Most of Reynor's army is spotted out by the scan. Tries to snipe off a queen. There are transfuses there. The scans at the front. The Terran tank line spans most of the map. 3-3 has already begun for Uthermal. He does have a follow-up here. But if this army gets smashed, he can immediately be run over by another round of Banes. The tank line is so deep. But at the same time, Reynor, the sensor tower, really helping out a lot. A huge run by here. Uthermal sprinting back with most of his Marines. He's going to be pressuring the 4th base, but there are so many bases on the map. The planetary is done. The SCV's pulled to repair. Uthermal still pressuring the 4th. The counterattack taken out. 12 SCVs will fall. Banelings clean it up. He doesn't kill the base. Cutting off some of the counterattacking Zerglings. Uthermal really trying to put out fires everywhere. The supply, he's still at 200 supply. It's just Reynor is never letting him concentrate all his units to the attack. If those tanks could get on a high ground and a choke point, then Reynor, he doesn't have the, without hive tech, he doesn't have the units to fight. And that's why you see the counterattacks constantly. Oh, that's a huge amount of Hydroling Bane, but he can't engage from one angle. It has to be more than one. A lot of Banelings on this side. He's splitting back. He does have a planetary. More splits from Uthermal. And the planetary is going to hold. But the Banelings get in, kill a handful of SCVs, but he was on top of that. A big counterattack shut down. Another player with money in the bank, still close to 200 supply, but neither willing to commit their whole force. The attack on the right, trying to cut off the retreat. It's just Zerglings, though. Another round. Oh, he tries to jump on it, but the planetary going to get in on the action. Uthermal has now been dragged back, but he got damage done on the opposite side. He was able to kill that 4th, but of course there are bases on the far right. He's going to redirect his forces. Liberator is now being built. He's comfortable with his medevac count. He hasn't really lost any throughout the match. Another base coming up for Uthermal. There are a lot of bases, and some can get pretty difficult to attack. They're tucked away in the corners. Hive Tech is on the way for Reynor. I'm sure Uthermal assumes it, if not has seen it already. The medevacs maybe a little bit misrallied there, but spots out the army. He's going to take the far right flank. Reynor pushing 500 APM. But Uthermal, he's about to finish 3-3. His army reaching maximum, another point of maximum strength right as those upgrades finish. Reynor does not have 3-3. He's about to have +3 armor. But there it is. 3-3 is done. +2 mech weapons. A huge counterattack on the planetary, though. There are so many forces committed on the other side. Is the repair there? The Banelings closing the distance. Reynor maybe looking for an engage. He loses the planetary. Uthermal starting to bleed. He has another base. He's going to drop it right down. He cancels the building command center. 5 Ultras on the way. Uthermal doesn't know about it, but of course, as a well-accomplished Terran player, he knows this is a risk. He's really trying to keep on the pressure while putting out fires at home. He can get behind that mineral line as well. There are a lot of disgusting tank positions if he can just get there. There's now a base in the bottom right. He knows the base in the bottom left is happening. Some drones exposed. 84 drones against 34 SCVs. Uthermal has 156 army supply.
Mineral field.
The power of Terran. He just needs to wield it. A tank on the high ground, siege is up, has that other base defended with some Liberators. There are Vipers involved as well. Some Blinding Clouds, maybe some Ducks. Blinding Cloud to start, but there are tanks at the back. The Marines still stimming, but are they winning? A couple tanks. He'll yank them forward. Uthermal in retreat. Another tank pulled in. Actually, it's a couple Banelings. He has to open the door for the rest of his units. There's only 31 SCVs left, but once again, that means the Terran army is fearsome.
Mineral field depleted.
But now Uthermal killed 2 bases with this. He got 2 bases in the bottom right. He's still limiting Reynor's potential mining. He hasn't really killed drones, but he's limiting his mining to an extent. But now that he's off the map, oh, here comes Reynor. Maxed out, Ultra's done. Chitinous plating not there yet. But he doesn't commit all his forces. He knows that a drop is an option. Aspire's on the way. Uthermal really fighting it out right now. And he's still, like... The problem is he's been pushed back. If one of his attacks fails, the momentum shifts heavily into Reynor's direction because of how many bases and creep and just all the tech he can get. It becomes very difficult for Terran, especially he doesn't have ranged Liberators, he doesn't have Ghosts. Oh, Get over. No, he doesn't get yanked. It gets very difficult without those late game units. He has to do some damage. He can't stand back for too long. Does he target? 1, 2, 3, baby. But the drop on the left side shut down. Is it time? He has to go. This is not an army that stands. He has to fight. Yeah, he agrees. That's about as close to 200 supply as he's gonna get for now. If he waits too long, there's gonna be things like broods, just so many vipers. It just becomes harder and harder. That's happening. The big wing counter. The tank's in a weird position. Will be taken out. The Ultra's going to work. I believe he is repairing. A huge amount of Zerglings will be gunned down. But they're next to free. Uthermal's army, 133 army supply. But there are no more upgrades to get. He has 3-3. He has +2 mech weapons. He's almost maxed out on that point. He just needs to bring it all to bear. It's just swinging his spear around to stab Reynor. Reynor slides away in time every time. And now he sees Vipers and Ultras. That is not a fun sight for a Terran. He doesn't even know about the broods yet. I think he saw some Corruptors. I'm not 100%. There are broods on the way, but only a handful in the production tab. Uthermal can't see that, of course. Oh, now he does. Now he does. 4 broods. Well, now that puts a very serious timer on this. Oh my god. How many Liberators? He's got 8. He's got 7. Well, actually, no, it lived. Somehow. Why is that still alive? He's making Vikings. Uthermal really trying to hold. He unsieges all of his tanks. He unsieges all of his Liberators. Does he go forward or does he go back? There's no Ghost Academy. The stem. Oh, the tanks need to siege. The tanks need to siege. Blinding Cloud. That's 1. That's 2. He's still in the freedom zones. Where are the Banelings? Can he target down the Ultras? The Blinding Clouds were great. He's still inside this. The tanks did a good job, but the Blinding Clouds really reduced that effectiveness. And now Uthermal pushed back. Reynor found the fight he needed. Uthermal doesn't really have those late... He doesn't have the ghosts, really. That's what it is. He doesn't have the ghosts. He needs the ghosts. And without them, this is more and more desperate. The drop comes in, tries to tuck itself into a nice angle. Doesn't really find it for now. Can't quite hit the mineral line from that side. The Ling's on the chase. Does he have that base too? Of course he does.
It's go time. Armed and ready.
Reporting. Mineral field depleted.
And, well, now it's desperate. Uthermal still has a huge army, but Reynor, he has a bank. He can lose a fight. He can lose probably 2 fights, as long as they're not a complete rout. And rebuild. Uthermal cannot lose a fight. And if he wins, he has to win hard. He can't rebuild. He's out of money in his Bane. He's out of money at the Nat. The 3rd base is drying up. The 4th base is looking more and more like California.
Mineral field.
A drop on the right. Still, these drop, like, if one of these drops gets through,
Mineral field.
Ready for dust off.
then, like, if you deny money or deny bases, it still can catch him.
Depleted.
Reporting for action.
He's trying to get the brood. He gets it. They're pretty fragile once you get underneath them. But how does he hold that base, let alone turn it around? How many Liberators? 6 Liberators?
Exhausted.
He's not even sending, like, none are being sent out. Looks like Uthermal's just going to try to outlast, but that's, that war of attrition is not one I think he's set up to win. 2 more tanks going down. That Ultra kind of choked off. If he can get a Viper, that'd be super nice. He yanks the... Oh, the Ultra's actually going through the freedom zones. Uthermal winning fights. If he can drag the Ultras through the line of liberation, then, okay, maybe. The army commits to the right side. Uthermal's out in the middle of the map. Now that's an asphyxiating choke point. That is not where you want to fight as a Zerg. Uthermal still has a lot of army on the left side, and it seems like he's held the right. But you got to be careful that one hand knows what the other is doing.
You want a piece of me, boy?
Reporting for action.
If he could get the Vipers and then pick a fight, that's the dream for Uthermal right now. That's the dream. But can he do it? It's looking more like, never has 200 versus 200 supply looked so rough. Well, that's not true. There's been plenty of situations. It's like whenever you're fighting against Immortal Archon Charge Lot. Oh, big counterattack on the right. Will Uthermal break? He's doing a counterattack himself. He'll kill the base. His medevacs will get out. He'll kill 2 bases. But will he hold at home? The Corruptors in behind the Liberators. Uthermal supply dipping. Immediately. But before he can rebuild, he's coming back. He's going for the drones. Going for the base. Can he get behind it? Just gonna try to target down drones. He'll get behind the mineral line. I'm not sure killing drones is gonna hurt Reynor at this point. In fact, I think it might help him. But he did get 2 bases. Uthermal's running dry, though. He's running out. Well, honestly, losing the Hydras, he can replace those with almost anything else. Well, those are a lot of big kills. Those are a lot of big kills. And if there aren't that, you can't step on creep, though. You can't. You just can't. You can't do it. You can't do it. He's on the chase. There's enough Corruptors. Stutter's back. Another volley. The Blinding Cloud. Liberators pulled out of proportion. He's holding the line. But at what cost? There's not that much gas. One Marauder. Please get that Ultra.
Research complete.
Now, Reynor doesn't have that much gas. He's building 7 Ultras. Oh, no. Uthermal knows. He knows. He's been here before. 1. Oh, doesn't get either Ultra. A 2-wing counterattack. Builds a planetary. A Liberator's going to siege up in the bottom left, but once again, I'm not sure if killing drones is going to have that much of an effect right now. Now, there's not much gas. There is not much gas. Uthermal still... I mean, he's doing everything he needs to do to force mistakes, but Reynor is not making big enough mistakes. That's the problem. He's making some. He's making big moves, but Reynor's going to need to completely change his tune. I just don't know. I mean, Reynor's out of gas. Now, Uthermal, once again, can't know exactly how much money Reynor has. He just has to fight it out. Like he's out of gas and out of minerals. That's the only choice. There's no other options. You just have to fight like that. There's nothing else to be done. So his Terran heart. Uthermal, a very passionate Terran player. For those, if you've never watched his stream, you know he's an incredibly passionate Terran player, and I'll say that with all connotations attached. But he's gonna lose the base. His entire army is in medevacs to the other side of the map. And there are some Corruptors still, not that many, but some. He's on creep though. Stutter stepping back. Now he's off of it. At some point, he won't be able to retreat with his army. He's continuing to fight through. One last Terran army. He gets back in the medevacs, and he boosts home. Gonna try to draw the Ultras into the Freedom Zone here. What about that command center? That command center is so important! No!
Mineral field depleted.
He's gonna try to flank Ultras now. With a drop, and he does. It's just this bio. But, I mean, the scan? He's running out of things to scan with. That's a real concern now. Where is Reynor's army? At what point do 50 Banelings come rolling? Uthermal knows. He knows. He knows what's going to happen, or at least, but he can micro his Terran heart out. No matter, it doesn't matter if he's on creep or off of it. There's nothing left. He has this, and that's it. He can't take any hits. The Ultras stutter step back. He can pick up into the medevacs. He does. He boosts over. There's no. Oh, well. The Vikings targeting down broods. We'll find some of them. He's trying to target down because he knows there's no way he kills the Corruptors.
Base is under attack.
Buildings are in the air. Uthermal.
This better be good.
I mean, he fights valiantly. But GG, there's nothing left. Reynor just held every angle too many times. He bent, but it was the counterattacks, the threat, and just the execution of the counterattacks made it so Reynor could not. So Uthermal never could bring enough of his army to the right spot. And when he could, that's when Reynor had his army in position. But like a couple more ultras here or there, another base going down a little earlier, then, well, that game looks different. But now we're tied up at 1-1. And we're going to look at Reynor's point of view. And maybe we'll learn how it's done. We'll see. As we go into Blue Shift. As we come out of the spawning pool. We have the Italian prodigy. It's Reynor. With an incredibly bright future ahead in his, even starting with his first handful of months in WCS. Literally could not play in WCS until he was 16, which happened approximately 2 or 3 months before this match. So, been playing since I believe the age of 10. I'm not sure. There's definitely interviews out there. So, that's a pool first play. Coming out here, maybe expecting a 2 racks, or just gonna try to take advantage of the relatively short rush distance and the lack of a natural ramp. And no gas though, so probably just 2, maybe 4 lings. Gonna build 4 lings, 6 lings, okay. This can potentially cancel a command center. And if he's getting 2 racks, he has the tools to shut it down potentially as well. A bit of a safer build. You don't get quite as much of an economy. And if it's scouted or if it's just straight shut down, you can get a bit behind, but it's a very small risk. Just the existence of the pool and the Zerglings keeps the Terran honest. And the Zerglings are going to try to avoid a normal Reaper pathing. We'll have to see if Uthermal does send the Reaper out. He does. It's gonna be a great start. If he can cancel the CC. Now, you don't need to. Oh, the Reaper actually gets dragged back. He was waiting for it. He's gonna wait and really try to bait that Reaper. Because there's not that much of a point in sending the Lings on. He doesn't have speed on the way. So if the Reaper's there, he might delay the CC for a few seconds, but that's about it. The Lings will die. And the Reaper goes out again. The Lings try to come in. The Reaper comes back. Uthermal teasing him. He doesn't know. He didn't go far enough across. He might have sent an SCV out and saw the timing of... I don't believe he did. But just playing it safe here. Also, Blue Shift is one of those maps that is a little cheesier.
Our forces are under attack.
Sees the scout. Now, Hellions come up. A good scout from Reynor. Really? Really? Gonna put the Zergling back there. Now, what we're gonna be looking at, especially in this first-person view, is just the way he controls his Lings. Because he's very quickly and historically made a name for himself with Ling counterattacks, run-bys. Things like that players haven't really been using as much. Not since, well, let's just say a lot of lifelike plays. And it's really hard, like, very quickly, if you counterattack too much or at the wrong time, and all the Zerglings just go into, like, a tank or a Widow Mine or something, then you don't have any units. The counterattacks have to be surgical. Is, like, right now. He saw the Hellions go out. He's trying to catch right in between the Hellion build times. He'll get in, gonna kill an SCV, force the mining away. It's only 4 Zerglings. It's not a huge commitment. But he has nothing. He did not know the Hellbats were coming. And these Hellbats can start burning through everything. Now, you gotta be very careful. Hellbats do damage in a cone. He has 3 Queens, which are a solid defense, but they don't have much energy for Transfuse. He doesn't have Banes. He doesn't have Roaches. He doesn't have Zergling. I mean, he only has Zerglings. 1 Transfuse comes through at the last second, trying to draw their fire, literally and figuratively. But another Queen is burnt to a crisp. The drones will be pulled away. The medevac was taken out, which is a big part of this attack. Now there's a timer on it. Eventually, they will be chipped down. It's just what they will get in the process. Several Queens have been taken out. Another one looks like it will be chased down. But the Zerglings come in to save the Queen. Will they? There's a Transfuse, right? Yes! Saved. A couple more Hellbats coming up. A Reynor handles it. And he loses a grand total of 1 drones. For someone who only had 3-4 Queens and Lings, a very capable defense. As Zerglings come in again. There's no wall. He had some already rallied out as he was confident he was defending that attack. Another round of Hellbats, this time with a Banshee. Now, looks like Cloak will finish in a moment. Reynor doesn't know for sure whether or not it will have Cloak, but now he does. The Spore Crawlers were already built. He realized this was a potential follow-up, and also just generally. Safety Spores. It's not a 2-factory play, he knew that much. The Hellbat's trying to go into the main. That Cloak Banshee in between the bases. Now the Queen's kind of blocking themselves onto the ramp. He doesn't have creep there, but enough Transfuses will hold the line. Uthermal now kind of trapping himself in the base of Reynor. More Transfuses come through. He's almost out of energy. More Hellbats as well. The damage is really starting to mount. The lair begins. Gonna get another Queen. The Hellbats working their way towards the 3rd. The worker count 39 drones, but the number could be dipping soon. Uthermal has lost... Oh, another... I'm not sure if the Banshee went down there, but he has killed 3-4 Queens, making it harder and harder to deal with the Hellbat follow-ups. Another Banshee's coming up. The aggression starts to mount. The game is heating up. With the Spore Crawler to the front, another Cloak Banshee. The Spore will burrow. It's more for detection than anti-air. Uthermal pulls back. Another Banshee coming in, but a Spore will deflect in time. Evolution chambers. Upgrades are what has kind of gone by the wayside, especially in these really hard-hitting brawls. When you both have to be throwing all your units into the fray, there's really no time or money for upgrades. But now that the units have thinned out, Reynor has deflected, and Uthermal has started to transition. We're going to see the next level of tech. It's going to be bio out of Uthermal. And Reynor should know that based on the engineering base spinning up under his Overlord that he can see right now because there was no Viking built. And for Reynor, 1-1, and is it a Hydra Den? We should be seeing that layer tech. Maybe just speed for Banelings. There it is. 2 Banshees, but still no commitment. Maybe a quick infestation pit. And just go straight to Hive. Just rely entirely on Zerglings. And Queens. The Banshee's trying to find an angle. Actually get in. Finding some kills, surprisingly. 1 Banshee will go down, but these Banshees are next to useless as time goes on. They're not... 1 or 2 Banshees is not going to decide the game. Killing drones now might decide the game. We'll take 5 kills. Reynor not at a huge drone count. He's at 56 and counting. But he didn't have a quick 4th. He still only has Zergling tech with only 3 hatches, which means he's going to have trouble getting the larva to spend his money. We'll see the Hydralisk den come down. We should see a macro hatch in a moment as well. Wait, how many drones? Yeah, maybe. He's going to try to jump on these Marines. We'll have to pick up. That could have been really bad. Sees no third. That's big info for now. Whoa! Okay. Really? Reynor trying to be... Is he... No, you can't do that. Oh, running by. The little splits there. Banelings suspecting a push. If there's no third down, Uthermal should have the units for a push. Look at this count. Look at this. Right in behind. That's like a Scooby-Doo movie or something like that, where someone opens the door and then the robber slips in as the door is closing. That's Reynor when he's doing these counterattacks. Like, would that really didn't look behind you? I don't... Well, he realizes no counterattack potential, so he's just going to come around for the flank. 1-1 is done, which means the tanks no longer one-shot the Zerglings. He has Baneling speed. The creep is starting to recede. It pulls back the flank on the right side. Uthermal in a nasty position to engage. The reinforcements are going to be somewhat cut off. The Queen's tanking for the tanks. The Banelings rolling through. They will be able to close the distance. The tanks will be taken out. And there's nothing left for the Medivacs to heal. Reynor holds off the attack. Kills off the key tanks. But the one thing here is the creep spread is not looking amazing. And the Medivac count is still high. That means, and since there are no Hydras, he did build a Hydra den, but no Hydralisk. Oh, he gets in! And this is really going to cut off the reinforcements. There's no Marines at home. They've been rallied across the map to try to exploit that Medivac count. Uthermal moving forward. He doesn't really have the reinforcements, but Reynor finds the angle. It will eventually be cleaned up. He only has... Did he get +2 attack? Reynor only has 1-1 with +2 armor on the way. He's at 59 drones. Uthermal at much less in the way of SCVs. But at some point, well-upgraded Marines with half a dozen Medivacs, you really have to crush them. Because if those Marines don't die, they will never die. I know that sounds dumb to say out loud, but they each have their own individual healer. Another counterattack. He's always waiting for an opportunity. The door is up. A Liberator to help add potential to this attack. A potential flank as well. Reynor setting up. Here comes the smash! 2-2 +2 armor is not done. There's not that many units here. The Banelings rolling through. There's just not enough. He's swarming over it all. The Medivacs will live. The Liberator will live. But nothing else will. The Liberator getting a few more Banelings before everything's done. The Marine on the... Oh my god, the Marine assassinating a Queen. But Reynor has 4 bases. He's about to have +2 Carapace. What does Uthermal have at home? It's hard for Reynor to tell exactly how much damage he's done. But if he doesn't... Right now, it all depends on a third. If Uthermal doesn't have a third base, he's running out of steam. Reynor doesn't really need these extra drones. He could have just focused on building units, but... If Uthermal has a third and he has that economy, that's why Reynor's making the drones. That's why he's going for more upgrades, because he doesn't know for sure that Uthermal doesn't have a third base, he doesn't have the economy. The attacks just keep coming, but if Reynor can't match him, eventually he's going to get overwhelmed. He actually drags the counterattack back, realizing there's not enough units to deal with this for now. +2 Carapace is done, the Banelings rolling in. The Marines are on the creep, he's going to try to pick up. He does. Dodges back through the liberation zones. Where do you even go with the Marines here? He's going straight towards the main. He's deep in the paint. Reynor rallying back. The Marines are behind enemy lines. They're on the high ground. A couple Medivacs, a strong gust of wind, or a single shot from a Queen will take them down. Beautiful targeting. Still more Hydras. Another rally. Uthermal, his momentum seems to be waning. He's losing Medivacs now. Reynor is holding on to his 4th base. Another attack. Reynor doesn't really have the creep spread to see this coming until it shows up at his front door. He's really laying on the pressure, but he's not cracking. He's not losing drones. He's not losing bases. He now sees there's no base here. The counterattack slammed. But it is a counterattack. Now it all comes down to whether Uthermal has that right side third established. There's no hive on the way. If Uthermal's able to put together a coherent tank push with like 3-4 tanks, a couple liberators, and those 2-2 Marines, Reynor doesn't have hive tech to deal with it. He has some more supply. He doesn't know for sure, but he has 30 more drones to counterattack because he has a lot of Banes at home. If he has those Banelings, he has the opportunity to jump on an army. So that's why he's allowing himself to bring the Zerglings to the other side. But the third base, oh, is there anything? That means Uthermal's bringing his army back. And he's bought more time. Reynor trying to get in, trying to get through the tank. Really just right-click, A-click, right-click, A-click, get a little more surface area. I don't know if that's actually doing anything, but it looks like it is, so maybe take some tips. He's stutter-stepping Zerglings somehow. But now the Baneling count and the Hydra count are starting to get... And the upgrades have evened up. He just needs to get... Oh, that's a deadly. Now Uthermal can't go back. He can't go back. That's it. He's just cut him off. He's got one attack now. And that's all there is. That's a lot of Banelings. Reynor at 450 APM. He's setting up everything. All he has to do is stop this. He's got the full Zerg surround. Oh my god, 360 degrees! And here he comes! Banelings from the back, the north, the south, the east, and the west! The whole world of Zerg! And Uthermal is smashed in the center of the map. Reynor losing 430 units to 187, but the units he lost. And that's going to put him on match point. Up 2-1. What a fight. But just a couple counterattacks at the right time. Notice how many he tried. This is what you don't see as much if you're not watching first person. I think the amount of counterattacks that didn't do anything were important to look at. Because sometimes, like, if you're watching a cast, it would just be like, oh, no Zerglings got in, okay. But, like, the amount of time he was spending, it wasn't like every time he just got Zerglings in. He kept going. He kept throwing them at him. And, like, maybe 1 out of 4 or 5 times they really got damage. But now we're going to look on the other side. Uthermal. Even that game. Losing the last 2, but even that game. Looking
Good.
Still strong.
Now I have your attention.
Just not strong enough.
SCV ready.
Looking from his point of view.
SCV ready.
It's gonna be a gas burst. So looks like a quick Hellion build. Out of Uthermal, not gonna fall back to the proxy Rex.
Additional supply.
Good.
Thanks, C
Now I
Fashion.
have your attention.
But we will see. He's up against it. This is the WCS. I believe this is the
Now I have your
quarterfinals.
attention. SCV ready.
And I do think this is one of the best ways to learn. Like if you're like Diamond Plus, especially Masters Plus. This
Now I
is
have your
pretty
attention.
much how I actually learn builds and new styles and stuff like that. Is watching first person. Of players who are way better than
Now I
myself.
have your attention.
And Uthermal is way better than myself. That way you can see what they see, because sometimes if you're just watching in third person, watching a cast, you're like, oh, they didn't actually see that overlord or that base, even though you assume they did, maybe because you have that perspective, or they didn't actually realize it was mech until whatever time, stuff like that. So.
Our SCVs are under attack.
Now an SCV scout. This, I believe, is the first time that Uthermal has done that. This means the Reaper will, well, be going across to engage the Zerglings. He's going to see, now he wants to see if there's gas. He knows that speed isn't upgrading. He saw there was gas, though. So, but he saw that Zergling speed was not like if the spawning pool isn't having like a mini seizure. Oh,
SCVs
still Reynor able to slip by. He snuck those initial lings out, but Uthermal with a very quick reaction.
SCV ready.
You really do want to finish the CC as quick as possible. Like, you got to get that SCV back there. But a bit of a delay.
add-on complete.
He does force one Hellion to be built instead of the flip.
SCV ready.
But everything's kind of shaping up. Now the question is third CC or not. Because he's taking 2 gases. Whoa, Cyclone. Now this is definitely new. I'm not sure if this is a reaction to what Reynor is doing. Oh, he saw there was no third. Okay, that's important. He saw there was no third and then built a Cyclone. Maybe he's thinking there's a Roach follow-up. But now he sees the third start. So, he's going to get in. Now, try to get as much info as possible. But I'm trying to think, what did he see and why is he doing that? We can see the production tab because I think it's a little better. It's really hard to tell what the players are building without having that production tab. It'd be better to
Command
not
center
have it,
upgrade
but
complete.
well, I guess with the WCS overlay you can actually do that. But I like having the production tab up for this. Just get you a better idea.
SCV ready. SCV ready.
Add-on complete.
He switched back into Hellions. I'm pretty sure the Cyclone was a safety move mostly. Like, if you are doing it all in, I need something a little bit less flimsy than Hellions. But he's adapted it into pressure. And that's definitely, I think, going to throw Reynor a little off. Like, why do you have a Cyclone in a medevac? What's going on here?
SCV ready.
But the Hellions behind. Stim starts, so Uthermal going to rely on Bio. Already have the Hellions in position.
Ready to raise some hell. SCV ready.
Liberation is at hand.
Gonna try to get in. Now, the early pressure. This is what sets the best Terrans apart. Being able to really maximize these early units. The Hellions on the right. That's a little sloppy there, to be honest, as he runs through the Queens, but nothing has died yet. The Cyclone can tank a lot of damage. Oh my god, that positioning. Absolutely dirty. Is he gonna pick up? He doesn't have a boost yet. The Hellion's trying to run through. Now, that did not go as well. The medevac survives. There is a Liberator. He's on the very edge of losing control of all these units, but he gives up the medevac in order to target down some more drones. 4 drones so far. It looks like the Liberator was taken out, or he switched it to the main. Alright, so the total damage.
This better be good.
That wasn't really worth it. Any of those parts of the attack, any angle there, had potential to do real big damage. Like the Cyclone drop, the Hellions, the Liberator,
Our SCVs
but they were all
are under
blocked.
attack.
That was
Want some?
about as good of a deflection as Reynor could ever hope for. And he lost all the units as well. It wasn't that they weren't just deflected, they were killed. So,
SCV ready.
but behind it, he did get a 3rd command center, double upgrades. It looks like Uthermal will actually be in the upgrade lead. He doesn't know that for sure.
Add-on complete.
Scouting with an SCV for a 4th. Also important.
SCV ready.
At some point, if you just have enough SCVs in production pumping out,
SCV ready.
all it takes is an upgrade lead to really lean on. We saw that last game to an extent, where Uthermal had an upgrade lead. He just didn't quite get enough units on the field in time.
Are under attack.
SCV ready.
This game,
SCV ready.
it's a little harder to judge.
Fueled up, ready to go. Armed and
The map is a bit more defensive as well. There's some high grounds towards the 3rd. You can wall them off easier than blue shift, so taking an early 3rd is a much more comfortable option. We've got the rally point depot, which blew my mind when I first figured out why that's there.
Addition.
So here's the rationale behind that, at least explained to me by Terran players way better than myself. That depot that he's rallying all his units from his barracks to. So what happens if that depot dies? if the depot dies, the barracks rally point is automatically reset and is no longer... They will just spawn at the barracks and not go out. So what that means, if a bunch of Zerglings and Banelings counterattack while he's microing on the other side of the map, that depot dies to a big counterattack, his units don't keep rallying to their death. It's kind of like a fail-safe mechanism, which I keep saying I'm going to use and then forget to use.
Ready for dust-off. Somebody, get me out of this mess.
Right, Uthermal.
Complete. Upgrade.
Ready for dust-off.
He's got 3 bases. The worker count 58. Reynor
Additional
has...
supply depots
I mean,
required.
I would say, creep over half the map, but half the map is like 1 scan of creep, so, yeah. It's very up close and personal, and there aren't that many bases here either. There's a grand total, some of the least bases since very early in StarCraft 2. So it's one of the smaller, and both sides get 5 bases. That's it. Those Marines definitely paying for themselves. The armory is done. Uthermal not starting his 2-2 yet. This does kind of feel like a game that's going to come down to a 2-2 timing, but he has 5 tanks. 5 tanks. 6 tanks. Wait, 5. That was the same tank as before. And the less distance between you and your opponent, the more time, the easier it is to get sieged up in the right spot. Reynor with a lot of lings, but a clump of Marines. He's immediately starts clearing the creep. A wall has already been built on that left side. Oh, the Zerglings. No, that counterattack. He gets 1 tank for about 50 Zerglings. I'm going to go ahead and say that was a win for Uthermal. Now, he already knows that... Oh, he's on the creep. But this is so kind of a uncomfortable area to navigate in. Reynor has to retreat to his base. The tanks, several will unsiege. He'll leave 1. Another scan. The creep proceeds quite quickly. Another counterattack coming in, but the wall holds. He'll be stuck at the 3rd. Uthermal. He will siege up the tanks. He doesn't want to give up all his position on the map, but he doesn't want to lose too many SCVs either. The tanks being sieged is going to be huge in this attack coming up. Reynor tries to jump forward, but Uthermal's tanks blast most of the forces. And now suddenly the supply is reflecting that. 2-2 is 2/3 of the way done, but as long as your opponent doesn't have an upgrade advantage, you can continue to push, especially once you clear the creep. The tank count now at 5. There's not that many areas to flank here for Reynor. He's already expended a lot of his units on trying to counterattack. Almost reminds me of like a Wings of Liberty style tank push, just leapfrogging essentially from your 3rd to their 3rd. There are rocks kind of blocking him. Now this is the precarious time. He doesn't have 2-2 done yet. So if Reynor gets a good flank right now, oof, the threat is there. But once 2-2 finishes, it becomes, he can breathe a little easier. And he's near 200 supply. Reynor is setting up for it. Was that a Baneling mine? I believe so. I'm not 100%. But the thing is, Uthermal's so spread. There should never be another counterattack coming in. But there's plenty of reinforcements. Wait. Unfortunately, the Zerglings do get through, but he does raise the depots in time. Reynor lashing out. He feels cornered. Uthermal being incredibly patient with this push. He knows, just take it slow and steady. He's got the units. If there's no hive tech, at maxed out supply, his army is probably better. 3-3 starts. The tank's still really well spread. Uthermal, just ever patient. Really playing the map. Here comes Reynor. The tank's trying to hold. The Marine splits. The tank line is so deep. The Marine's holding the line. Baneling's trying to come in, but the Marines stand tall. He's tearing through everything. Even a couple tanks survive. And how many Banes are left? There's a handful of Hydras, a handful of Banes, but not nearly enough. Reynor, he tried, but this time Uthermal bashes it down, holds the line, and we're going to the ace match. There's no way. He's not coming back from that. There's no Ultra popping out to save the day. Just a safe shot. The patience is what strikes me about it. Never trying to move. He just sat there. He sat there. He just sat on his lawn. He didn't try to knock on his door. Not really. Maybe he came up and he waved at his window. But he just sat there. And eventually Reynor tried to come out and get him off his lawn. And, well, Uthermal said no. He said no. And that means we're going to Game 5 on Meme Dreamcatcher. Coming up next. Solid execution. Despite his early harass being shut down, it still cost Reynor a lot just to be able to shut it down, so it slowed him down. And tank pushes are quite... I mean, he played the map very well. Dreamcatcher, another map where tanks can be very effective. We'll have to see. This time we're watching Reynor. Been switching off the whole time. Of course, with the Terran music. Down, 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 down. Now what? Now what do you do? Right, well... Dreamcatcher is quite similar to Fracture. There aren't that many bases. There are some really nasty tank positions, but it is a larger map. There's more potential to counterattack. It's more uncomfortable for Terran to take a third. So... Reynor is going to go with the pull first. He started out with the hatches, and now he's going... It seems he's more comfortable with the pull first. Especially deeper into a series. Oh god, don't look at the production tab. No one look! No one look! Well, are we finishing it like we started? In the first game, Uthermal went for 4 proxy regs. This game, well... Reynor hasn't seen anything. They're out there, by the way. They're out there. Where are they is the question. He's making 6 lings, though. If he just simply catches the first Marines, this can just end. If he sees the Rex, that is very close to being, like, almost game right there. Because he has plenty of time for spine crawlers. He'll be able to make another queen. He doesn't. Where are they? Where are they? There's another Rex. I believe that one's being made at home. Where are they? I like Reynor doesn't know. He's just trying to dodge a Reaper now. There is no Reaper though, for very good reason. Reynor still doesn't know. When he gets to the base is when he'll probably figure that out. There's no command. Oh, there it is! Immediately, 2 spine crawlers, no wall. Maybe 3 spine crawlers. Okay. The alarm bells are ringing. Here come the boys. 6. Oh, 2 spines already start. A second queen. The SCVs are pulled. Uthermal finishing this series like he started it. He won game 1 with a proxy Rex. And the drones trying to get us around. There are queens at the back. Oh no! Reynor with the pool first. That's all the difference here. He has no... Uthermal doesn't even have an orbital. There's no mining. Well, more boys come up. He's not building any more Marines is the problem. He's now trapped. The spine crawler. Oh, the sad defeat. And that's GG. Reynor moves on in a series book-ended by Proxy Rex. But the three sandwich games, the real meat of it, were some pretty incredible matches. These two showing why build orders can be important.
Good. Now I have your attention.
But Reynor, just ridiculous. Like, you saw, the thing is, you saw it's not just about counterattacking. It's about the constant pressure he puts on. And Uthermal at the same time. That Terran, the game full of heart, but not so much of late game. The Cerulean Fall match, where Uthermal kept fighting with 8 medevacs, a bio, and a dream. You gotta love those games. But those are the kind of games where you know you're losing for like 15 minutes, but you have Terran units, so you're gonna play it. And almost win. But a great showing. Reynor moves on. I hope you enjoyed the first person cast. I'll take some feedback on it. Why am I yelling? I think it's fun to watch, as well as you learn something. Not all the time. I don't think it's better all the time, but I think it's definitely something different. So, how exciting.